Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar's bold Caribbean leadership, an editorial by Professor Wall Street. How Trinidad and Tobago's leader has dominated regional security discourse since April 2025. Since her decisive electoral victory on April 28, 2025, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has seized the Caribbean's attention with an unprecedented approach to regional security. Her aggressive stance on transnational crime and willingness to publicly support rigid measures has made her the most talked about leader in CARICOM. Whether one views her as a visionary protector, there is no denying that she has become the dominant voice shaping Caribbean security discourse. Her September 2025 statements praising U.S. military strikes against suspected drug traffickers and declaring that the military should kill them all violently sent shockwaves through the region. At the UN General Assembly, she doubled down, proclaiming that Trinidad and Tobago would fight fire within the law against drug cartels. These positions have generated intense debate about the future direction of Caribbean foreign policy and the role of military force in addressing transnational crime. Love her or hate her, Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar has positioned herself as the Caribbean's most assertive leader on security matters. Here are 10 reasons why she has become the region's dominant political figure. 1. Willingness to break regional taboos. While other Caribbean leaders carefully navigate diplomatic sensitivities, Persad-Bissessar has shattered conventions by openly endorsing foreign military action in Caribbean waters. Her willingness to say what others won't, regardless of diplomatic consequences, has made her impossible to ignore in regional discussions. 2. Commanding international attention. Her September 2025 UN General Assembly speech and thought-provoking statements about drug traffickers captured global media attention in ways few Caribbean leaders have achieved. Whether the coverage is positive or negative, she has put Caribbean security concerns on the world stage. 3. Challenging the zone of peace narrative. By openly rejecting the idealized notion of the Caribbean as a zone of peace, she has forced honest conversation about the region's security crisis. Her blunt assessment of gang violence and cartel infiltration resonates with citizens experiencing daily insecurity, even if it makes diplomats uncomfortable. 4. Prioritizing citizen safety over diplomatic niceties. Persad-Bissessar has framed her thought-provoking positions as defending ordinary citizens against criminal cartels. This populist approach, positioning herself as protector of the vulnerable against sophisticated criminal organizations, has strong political appeal regardless of its diplomatic implications. 5. Strength during regional leadership vacuum. With many Caribbean leaders taking cautious, consensus-driven approaches, her decisiveness stands out. In a region experiencing unprecedented crime challenges, her aggressive stance fills a leadership void, even as it generates controversy. 6. Leveraging U.S. partnership. By openly embracing closer security cooperation with the United States, she has positioned Trinidad and Tobago as Washington's key Caribbean partner. This alignment brings potential resources and intelligence sharing benefits, though it raises sovereignty concerns among critics. 7. Dominating regional discourse. Every CARICOM meeting now must address the questions she's raised about military action, foreign intervention, and aggressive anti-crime measures. By forcing these conversations, she controls the regional agenda in ways consensus-seeking leaders cannot. 8. Contrasting leadership styles. Against Trinidad and Tobago's weaker position under Penelope Beckles and more cautious regional leaders, her bold pronouncements and willingness to take thought-provoking positions project strength and decisiveness that naturally elevate her regional profile. 9. Addressing real regional anxieties. While her methods are thought-provoking, she's addressing legitimate fears about cartel violence, drug trafficking, and the murder epidemic affecting multiple Caribbean nations. Her willingness to name these problems resonates with frightened populations. 10. Forcing regional reckoning. Whether one agrees with her approach or not, she has forced the Caribbean to reckon with fundamental questions about sovereignty, security cooperation, the limits of peaceful resolution, and the appropriate response to transnational organized crime. The paradox of dominance. Persad-Bissessar's regional dominance presents a paradox. She has become the Caribbean's most influential leader precisely because her thought-provoking positions generate such intense reaction. Leaders who carefully build consensus rarely capture international attention or dominate regional discourse. Those who break taboos, for good or ill, become the story. Her approach represents a fundamental challenge to traditional Caribbean diplomacy, which emphasizes consensus, neutrality, and careful respect for sovereignty. By openly aligning with U.S. military action and using thought-provoking eloquence about killing suspected criminals, she has rejected this tradition entirely. What is undeniable is that she has seized the initiative in defining how the Caribbean discusses security challenges. Persad-Bissessar's defenders argue she shows courage in naming uncomfortable truths about Caribbean security and pursuing unconventional solutions to unprecedented challenges. They see a leader willing to prioritize citizen safety over diplomatic convention, someone unafraid to challenge regional orthodoxies that have failed to address escalating crime. She has indeed demonstrated unusual boldness in addressing real security concerns that other leaders have struggled to effectively confront. In conclusion, dominance through disruption. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has become the Caribbean's dominant leader, not through careful consensus building or diplomatic finesse, but through disruptive boldness that has forced the region to confront uncomfortable questions about security, sovereignty, and the limits of traditional approaches to transnational crime. Her willingness to endorse thought-provoking positions, including support for foreign military action and eloquence about suspected criminals, has made her the most discussed, debated, and influential Caribbean leader in recent memory. Whether one views this influence as positive or negative depends entirely on whether one prioritizes her decisive approach to security concerns or the legal and diplomatic principles her methods may compromise. What cannot be disputed is that she has fundamentally altered Caribbean political discourse. Regional leaders can no longer avoid hard questions about cartel violence, appropriate responses to transnational crime, and the balance between sovereignty and security cooperation. She has made herself the central figure in these debates by refusing to accept conventional wisdom and traditional diplomatic constraints. History will judge whether her approach represents the kind of bold leadership the Caribbean needs to address unprecedented security challenges. For now, she has achieved what few Caribbean leaders ever do: genuine regional dominance through the force of her personality, the boldness of her positions, and her willingness to challenge every conventional assumption about how Caribbean leaders should speak and act.
the Caribbean has its most dominant leader in decades. Kamla Persad-Bissessar's leadership has ushered in a new chapter for the Caribbean, one defined by strength, realism, and international cooperation. While critics may accuse her of overreach, it cannot be denied that she has seized the mantle of regional leadership with unmatched authority. For the first time in decades, the Caribbean has a leader whose words and actions are echoing far beyond its shores. She has unquestionably become the leader who defines this era of Caribbean politics.